You know what's crazy? Most people say that they want the houses, they want the freedom, they want the traveling, they want the cars, they want the lifestyle, but they're trying to get through it in the slowest vehicle possible. A job, a random side hustle, or a business that's not even profitable that they can't even sell properly. And for me, the vehicle was simple. It was high ticket sales. I went from basically graduating fresh out of high school with basically nothing in my hands to over 400,000 a year in straight profit, commissions in my hand, working from anywhere in the world with no fancy funnels, no huge team, 100% profit, and just one skill set that changed everything for me. Actually learning how to sell. And in this video, I'm going to break down how that skill paid for the lifestyle that I have today and the 5 biggest lessons that actually made it possible. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why high ticket sales is the fastest path to freedom that, honestly, nobody really talks about. So let's get into it. Most people trade their time for money. They work more hours, hoping to make more, but that's just not how wealthy people think. The difference between a $60,000 to $100,000 job working for a boss and a 400,000 profit a year lifestyle working on your own hours is one word. It's leverage. In high ticket sales, you're not paid for the hours that you put in, you're paid for your skill. And it doesn't necessarily mean the more you work, the more you get paid. If you can close more deals, if you can close at a higher percentage, your income will multiply without you working any more hours. And that's leverage. When I started, for context, to share a cool story with you, before high ticket sales, before online money, before online business, before traveling, I was 18 working a door to door sales job. Now, for those of you that don't know how tough door to door sales is, you're basically knocking on people's doors 8 to 9 hours a day on a base pay. And my base salary, because I was 18 at the time, was $27 an hour, which granted was actually pretty high for my age. Looking back, it's crazy, but I literally went from 2 to 3K a month working a door to door sales job, walking door to door in the heat, trying to convince strangers to buy, all the way to doing 30, 40K a month. What changed? I was putting in the same hours, if not less, except what changed was I brought those hours to better use. I used better skill sets. I did it remotely. I had better tonality, better conviction, better results. I was in the right vehicle. And a cool analogy you can use to describe this is you, and this is you trying to go to 10K a month. Now, there's a couple ways you can go from 0 to 10K a month. You can ride a bicycle to go from 0 to 10K a month, or you can drive a Ferrari. Now, at the end of the day, the bicycle will get you to 10K a month. The Ferrari will also get you to 10K a month. But the difference is how much faster is it actually going to get you there? And a Ferrari will get you there 100 times faster with, less effort and also just faster, right? It'll get you there quicker. And high ticket sales and online money and online business is that Ferrari at the end of the day. So main takeaway here is stop trying to work harder and just punching the air. Start learning skills that make your time more valuable. And once you've built that leverage, something else unlocks, and that's freedom. I remember this one deal. I was in Dubai, so in the downtown area. I was in a really, really nice penthouse, sitting on the balcony. It was 10:30 at night, and I was looking straight at the Burj Khalifa, filled up with lights. And I got on a closing call, and I closed a deal in 45 minutes, and I made more money on that one call than I used to make in an entire week from doing door-to-door sales. And then it hit me. I'm literally getting paid while living the life that I used to dream about. And I realized that I don't make money for freedom. I actually make money from freedom. Imagine that, just sitting outside in Dubai with your other boys, looking at the Burj Khalifa and making money in under an hour more than you ever made in your life. Doesn't that just blow your mind? Sales gives you the ability to literally earn from anywhere. And all you need is Wi-Fi, your voice, and the ability to communicate with conviction. You don't need any office, no manager, no commute, no base pay. It's just skill set at the end of the day. And I know this is true because I've even made money and closed deals in the Himalayas at one point. I was literally closing deals in the mountains where there was very limited Wi-Fi. And a good analogy to describe this is, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, but think of your job as like a dog on a leash. When a dog's on a leash, you can pull, you can run, you can push, you can shove, you can keep pulling and pulling on that leash. But at the end of the day, you can only go far as your office allows you to go, as your base pay allows you to go. High ticket sales basically cuts that leash completely and just lets you go like a wild dog. And you can go as far as you want to go, as far as your legs run. That's the beauty of running something like an online business. And I know this is true because some of my students in the small community that I run called the DSA, where I literally help people become like myself, they're actually going to travel towards the end of this year, towards South India, towards Bali, some to the Gold Coast, all together making money. And you know what's crazy? They've only been in this space for a couple of months, and they're doing 5 to 10K a month. Doesn't that blow your mind? It's so easy to win. So the biggest takeaway here is build a skill that actually follows you and not the other way around. And once I realized that, I stopped working for freedom and actually started making money from it. But the truth is, freedom is cool and all, but it's just the start. Sweet. Now, this one is extremely underrated, and a lot of people don't talk about this in the high ticket sales space. Sales is the fastest way to meet high level people that you want to be like. When you're closing for a high ticket offer, your clients are usually entrepreneurs, 7, 8, sometimes even 9-figure year entrepreneurs. They're business owners, they're investors. They're exactly the people that you want to meet and spend the most time with. That way you can get to where you want to go as fast as possible. And sales is a cheat code to proximity. It literally puts you in rooms you couldn't buy your way into. When I started closing deals for 7-figure programs, I suddenly started having daily conversations with multimillionaires. I'll share a story with you. The first opportunity I ever closed for was for an e-commerce coach that was doing multiple 7 figures a year and was really, really good at what he did at running e-commerce store. And I was closing for the guy. And we started having daily conversations about money, about e-com, about marketing, about ads, about things that I didn't even know. And these are things that you can't buy. You can't buy his time. And the why he told me all these things and why I was able to get into that room was because I actually provided value and I had leverage. I was making sales for him. I had the ability to make him rich. And because of that, he treated me very well and gave me a lot of advice. And the crazy part is, those people that I talked to, they mentored me for free, just through the conversations I had. And eventually, a lot of them became friends of mine, collaborators, and even partners in projects that 10x my income. And aside from meeting the entrepreneurs and stuff like that, just from talking about sales and getting into the high ticket sales space, a lot of high ticket sales reps go and do other investments. They get into things like trading. They get into things like property. And a lot of the friends that I have to this day have all been through high ticket sales that are in a numerous amount of industries: trading, property, investments, etc. So the biggest takeaway here is, forget going to university and learning from someone that hasn't even started a business. Forget going to random networking events where everyone's just trying to get to know each other and there's no real value being put in. Learn a high value skill like sales. Provide value to other people, because when you can sell, you naturally start talking to the kind of people that you pull up and you're providing value to them. So in return for that, they'll give value to you. And once you combine that skill with proximity, you'll realize something very powerful. Money actually becomes something that you can control. Sweet. Now, number 4 is something that I very recently number 4 is something that I realized later on in my high ticket sales journey after I hit 40K a month. And what I realized is, you can have the best business idea, you can have the best product, you can have the best brand, you can have the best vision. But if you can't sell it and you don't know how to sell to people, it's literally useless. It'll never succeed. And that's why I always say, every dream dies without the skill to sell it. Before I ever got into high ticket sales, before I ever launched my coaching business, before I ever launched my agency, I was just closing for someone else. But those closing skills gave me the cash flow, it gave me the confidence, and it gave me the connections to go and launch my own thing. Without sales, I'd still be stuck watching other people win. At the end of the day, think of it like this. A lot of you watching this probably are thinking in your mind, hey, I really want to be a business owner. That sounds super cool. And the amount of young people I see to this day that want to launch their own business, I get it. It sounds super flashy, it sounds super cool, and you can definitely go and launch it down the line. However, right now, if you're being honest with yourself, you have 0 skill sets. You don't know how to market, you don't know how to sell, you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know how to network, you don't have leadership skills. These are all skills that you learn from doing high ticket sales, which is why I'm able to go and launch my own, get into sales management, get into consulting to this day, because I learned all the micro skills that I needed through the last 2-3 years of spending in high ticket sales. And the reason why high ticket sales is the best vehicle to develop your skill sets to launch a business is you're surrounded by other business owners. Remember, you're literally closing for business owners. It doesn't get better than that. You're seeing how $1 million businesses work under the radar. And a live example of this is, I used to close as a high ticket closer for a company that did $1 million a month. $1 million a month. I know that might seem hard to fathom for some people. But yeah, my company did $1 million a month in straight revenue consistently. And what I realized was, I knew all the systems. I was selling for it. I personally collected 200 to 300,000 every single month for that company, and I was doing it myself. And I used those skill sets that I had to go launch my own thing, get into sales management and consulting, and really go from there. So think of sales like oxygen when it comes to building a business. You don't really think about it, but the second it's gone, everything stops working. And even according to like Harvard Business Review that I've read up, you can go search this up, 80% of startups fail not because of their product, but because they couldn't sell it. So main takeaway here is if you want to build anything meaningful, you want to build a business, a personal brand, or even like a movement, learn how to sell. It's the first domino skill that makes everything else possible. Now, finally, number 5, in my opinion, is probably the most important part of my lifestyle. Here's the reason I'll never be broke again. Because once you know how to sell, you'll never worry about money again because you can make money from thin air. And money becomes a skill set, not a circumstance. I'll give you an example of this. Let's say everything in my bank account is wiped clean. Hundreds of thousands of dollars is gone. I lose my house. I lose everything. And I'm just stuck in this room where I am right now with my laptop, a Wi-Fi connection, and maybe even this mic that I have. I'll be back at 40 to 50K a month, if not more, in the next 1 to 2 months. Why is that? Because I have the ability to skill. I have a skill set that will never go away. Everyone needs sales reps. People will hire me like this because I have 3 years of taking 2,000 plus live calls in high ticket sales. And that is the power of learning something such as a high value skill. And a great analogy to think of it is, think of sales like learning how to fish, learning how to hunt. Once you learn how to fish, hunt, provide for yourself, you can feed yourself anywhere, anytime, and for the rest of your life. And that is why I've also been able to launch my own businesses that I run now. And the reason I was able to do that was because I had all the skill sets needed to do it. So the biggest takeaway here is once you know how to sell, you can always create income for the rest of your life and stay at that 40, 50K a month goal. And that's ultimate freedom. To me, freedom isn't just money. To me, freedom isn't just time. To me, freedom isn't just traveling the world. For me, the ultimate freedom is being able to decide what you do, where you live, who you work with, and also without worry and security and knowing that this will last forever. That is the ultimate freedom, knowing that you'll never be broke again in your life because you can always make money when you need to. For example, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but let's say my family, God forbid, like they fall ill. You know, I have to pay hospital bills, or something happens to my parents, or something happens to my brother, or something happens to a friend, or my friend gets in an emergency and they need money. Let's say I don't have the money in my bank account. I can go sell and make 40, 50K in a month and give that to them. That is the power of high ticket sales. You can't do that with a job. You can't even do that with some businesses to an extent. Sweet. So to wrap it up, sales gave me leverage. I get paid for skill, not time. It gave me freedom. I can work for anywhere. It gave me the foundation for everything I've done since. It's expanded my network and put me in rooms I've never thought I'd been in. And most importantly, it's made me self-reliant. I'll never have to worry about money again. And if you take one thing away from this and you listen to this entire video, let it be this. Learning to sell isn't just about making more money. It's about becoming the kind of person who never has to worry about it again. And if you have any questions on my takeaways and my journey, I'll drop my Instagram down below. That way you can flick me any questions. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.